I actually don't see another human being at least 5 days of the week.
Right.
Wow.
What is your title? Because we just know you as Skip. Is there are you?
Well, that's okay. I'll talk that kind of thing a little bit.
Well, just
No.
so that our audience knows, because
Dude, have you looked at his belt?
well, no.
So if you want to know about the belt,
Yeah,
this is my white belt. It's the same belt I started day one with.
seriously,
Seriously, yeah.
wow,
So 47 years ago in Kempo, the same belt.
that's
At 27.
and he never washes it.
I was teaching at the university at the time, foreign languages and stuff, and I quit just like a trained Kempo.
Wow.
And so people always say, how many years have you been in it? That's not the right question.
Yeah.
The real question is, how many intelligent moments have you been doing the art?
Love it.
Because I quit. I trained 16 hours a day, 6 days a week for 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And on Sundays I rested and just did 6 hours on Sundays. And I lived on the farm. My mom said, just eat. And that's all I did. I made $5 a year for 2 years. All I wanted to do was train. I'd get up at 5 in the morning and I'd train till 9. They'd open the school and I'd train till 9.
Right.
And that's what I did. But then, how many of those moments were actually intelligent is on top of it?
Right.
So now in 5 minutes I can do more than I did in 20 hours, of training. So
That is pretty cool.
So it's about how many intelligent moments you put in it.
That really changes the perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Because
it's the wrong
we-
question,
Yeah.
to
Right.
ask how many years you did in that.
Well, we've always, whenever that was asked of us, and he did the math on it, he says, well, because I have to eat, sleep, and all these things, so I didn't do 5 years. It was really, we did the actual hours, and that's how we equated. But I love what you're saying, that it's more about the intelligent stuff that you're doing in class, because all the other stuff, you're right, doesn't mean anything because
So 8 years is only the last 6 months have we been doing any intelligent.
So would you like to be more intelligent today?
I definitely
so we're going
do.
back to the white belt.
So we're going to learn how to concentrate a little bit, okay? I'm going to stand up for you on this one.
Oh, okay.
You want me to stand up?
Yeah.
So they can't see me, so I'm going to get in front of
You're gonna have to stay within the camera here, though.
you. Just let me know.
Yo, we're right here.
Oh, right here. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
because
for example, when I'm
the
teaching,
camera doesn't move.
For example, if I was teaching young people how to kick, you got to be able to see my
Right.
leg.
Uh-huh.
So if I bring my knee up, I go out and back and I kick
Right.
right? So you teach the student to do that, right? What happens is, let's say you have an hour class with kids, and you wonder why they're struggling to get where they're going. So what happens is, if you taught them how to kick with the ball of foot, that's what you just taught them. But that's only 50% of the motion. The reverse motion is the other half of the motion.
Right, coming back.
And during that time, they're not paying attention. So now they're only paying attention half the class.
Half the time, right?
And you get a little kid who's only paying attention half the time, he starts drifting. So in a 60-minute class, at best, they're paying attention 10 minutes.
Wow.
All right, guys.
So you have to teach them. You have to teach them whatever terminology I use depends on who they are.
Right.
So, for example, I'm going to say you're going to flex your hip, you're going to flex your knee, you're going to extend your knee, you're going to flex your knee,
Make
you're going
sure
to extend
to
your knee,
stop by
extend
the
your
different
hip.
vendors.
So they actually paying attention
Check them
100% of the time. Now instead of
Also,
6
make
months, it
sure
takes
you have gotten your
them 2 months to
banquet
get the yellow belt.
tickets.
There you go.
If you have not gotten your banquet tickets,
So
you
knowing the
must
fact,
do so because
right,
we're
that
going to
every
start
time I
running low on
move,
those.
every time I move, I want them to
And
be
we
aware of
sign
it the
off
whole
the ones
time.
that have been
Right.
sitting there.
Yeah.
So
Good, have a
if you
seat
want
because
to-
we're listening to the audio here.
Okay.
That's
No
amazing.
ticket, no entry, as Moore just said to me.
So what we do is teach.
Definitely, make sure you
Right,
have banquet
and-
tickets.
and that's just
Also,
taking it to a whole
make sure
different
to see
level.
Trenton in the back.
This is the first time
Pre-registration
I've heard anybody
for
do it this way, because everybody else is very
in
traditional and whatever else.
Sacramento.
And I would have, looking at your age and all that, I would have thought you were very traditional. But I see you're not.
I don't need
No,
to say
in
that
fact,
much more
so
times
actually,
than I like to say
if we
the
get down to
word Sacramento,
now, so you were asking about the titles,
not
Right.
okay?
Reno.
So
That's
Mr. Parker actually did develop a system, right, of belt ranking for senior black belts. And so first degree through 10th degree black belt. And when you get to those higher levels, 8th, 9th, and 10th degree, where an 8th degree was considered an associate master, and a 9th degree was a master, and a 10th degree was a senior master.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so, but those are promotions. Right? In other words, I'm going to promote you to 9th degree black belt. You don't just get a 9th degree black belt, you get promoted. And then what happens is, so it gets confusing because sometimes, and this is defined not just by me, but Mr. Parker.
Right.
A grandmaster is not promoted. The grandmaster, by definition, is the head of the system.
right. He's the guy.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Parker was the senior grandmaster of his system because he was the founder. He created it. So at the same time, he was also the grandmaster. Right?
Right.
What happens is, so traditionally in traditional martial arts, they don't name somebody before they die, and then the problems happen, right? so when you see people calling themselves, or other people might refer to them as a grandmaster, they're not the grandmaster of the Parker's Company.
Right.
There never was one, other than Mr. Parker. So they could be 10th degree black belts, and they're senior masters of the art. And it's set up. You could have people criticize sometimes. There's maybe 200 or 10 degrees in tempo right nowadays. I don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
the point is, there could be legitimate.
Right.
The problem is you have to define what it means.
Yes,
Right?
definitely.
So and years ago, one of the guys that's well known, I won't use his name, him and another guy asked me, they were going to be going to 5th degree black belt. And I said, this is after Mr. Parker died. I said, you have to understand you're promoting yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. I said, but you have to define what it means to be a 5th degree. So if you say in my system of Kempo, if I can do a right inward block with 10 principles and a left inward block with 10 principles, I'm a 5th degree black belt. Now, other people might criticize you for that, but ask them to define what they do. They don't,
Right,
and they don't have it
can't do
defined.
that.
So the key is having it defined. Then it's honest.
Yes.
See,
Right.
if a guy says you get to be a black belt if you train with me 2 days a week for 2 years and you never miss class, you get to be a black belt. Now that doesn't sound like a legitimate black belt to us, but he's defined it. So the parents and the kid know what they're getting. It's just it's in a belt. You're a black belt in attendance. But he's honest about that person.
Right.
So that's perfectly fine. Then the people up front, you can't tell them you're going to learn how to kick butt, so to speak, and defend yourself.
Right.
You just got your belt because you attended class. Okay, but
Yeah, because you were given the outline of what's going
exactly.
on. And
So that and if you define every belt level like that, then fine. Then everybody knows what that is, right? So it's not necessarily what we call the best thing, but it's definitely honest. So Mr. Parker was the senior grand master of his art because he was recognized for having created a unique martial arts system.
Right.
So senior grand masters are not promoted. They're recognized. So that's what people recognize me as now because I created a unique martial arts system. So for example, we don't have any nouns. I don't teach with nouns. We only have verbs.
Okay.
Only
That's-
action is action.
Yeah.
Nouns you collect.
Right.
So we step, we drag, we pivot, we hammer, we whip, we thrust. Right? So, and I don't have any blocks or any strikes. We use muscle movement. I was just teaching that we hammer with our muscles, we whip with our muscles, we thrust with our muscles.
Wow.
That's what all animals do. So it doesn't matter what activity I'm doing. If I'm playing tennis, I just whipped with my arm, didn't I?
Right.
If I swing a baseball bat, I'm whipping with this arm, hammering with this arm. And so whenever I'm locking or choking or blocking or whatever I'm doing, I'm just hammer whipping and thrusting. So my mind is so simple. And then we learn how to solve problems through what I developed. It's called the cycle of considerations.
That's crazy.
Wait, one more time. The psycho.
The cycle of considerations are the 9 things you must consider in their exact order in order to solve any problem.
Okay. Slow, so I can rewatch this.
It's a universal problem solver. So what happens is, as in the mind, we kind of keep it simple. You have these 2 sides of the brain, so to speak. So if I give you a problem, say for example, 5 plus 6, you go 11. And then if I go 5 plus 6 times 3, he starts to think about it a little bit. Right?
33.
By the time, yeah, exactly. But by the time I give him 5, 6, or 7 of those, he can't do it.
Oh, right.
So he needs a formula to solve that problem.
Okay.
The other side of the brain is formula stuff. And so what I developed is a universal formula. So you only have to have one formula to solve all problems.
We're gonna get smarter today.
That's right. And so the very first thing, and we'll talk about self-defense because that's what we're doing here, is attitude. Attitude is 50% of fighting. Everybody knows that. It's also the first 50%. And so we start with attitude, which is how I arrange my body and mind towards somebody. So I want to defend myself, and he's kind of giving me the look, so to speak. So now I realize I've arranged my attitude towards him this way. Because I'm left eye dominant, I read this way, and I have a look this way, and I'm in a pointful whip with my shoulder. I got my body slightly turned this way, so I have an attitude toward him.
Right. Folks, we're recording. Please don't step through.
Right? Does it make sense?
Yes.
So then comes environment. And environment is everything that's in you, on you, and around you at the moment you
Right.
attack. So
That's crazy.
on me is what I'm wearing.
Right.
Around you, all these things, and in you are the 5 fitnesses: spiritual, perceptual, emotional, mental, and physical fitness. So you learn them in that order. So what happens when you go to karate school, so to speak, like that, right? They make a nice environment for you. The safe mat, good air, good lighting. So you have an easy feeling about the things that are around you. Then you wear a uniform like this. When I say to the girls, now tomorrow all the girls are going to wear mini skirts with high heels to train in. They're not going to have an easy feeling about
No,
training.
not at
So
all.
you wear this uniform to have it. So that allows you to study the things that are in you better: spiritual, perception, emotional, mental, and physical. And then we have to go outside of that eventually as they get better, and off and on, to train outdoors and stuff, the things that are around us, and we wear street clothes and stuff. Then comes the dimensional stages of action. So this is a term unique to Mr. Parker and I, which we developed one time flying to England. The dimensional stages of action are the 4 basic stages of action that situations occur in. So out of contact means you can't touch me. Contact means you can just touch me. Penetration stage, you can hit through me.
through.
And manipulation stage is where you would be locking and choking and stuff.
Right.
But it's not just distance. So this is the key in self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
So in every situation, there's this combination of his points of view and mine, so there's 16 of those. Right? So the point being is, when a guy grabs you like this, for example, this left hand pushes you back,
Right.
he's doing this. What he's saying is, in his mind, he's putting you at out of contact stage.
Right.
You see, I can't reach him. But in reality, we're at manipulation. So he doesn't see this as a target. He would have put it out there if it's a target.
Right.
You wouldn't lean your face in like that.
No.
No, but they'll put their hand out there because it's not a target. So now, my goal, though, is to do this in such a
Hey,
way.
before we go on, let me ask you this. Let's reset the survey because I love this. I think this is so much more fascinating than just having the conversation.
Okay.
Because I would love to see you ragdoll him
Demonstrate
around.
some- okay.
This way,
Okay,
because
let's
this
do
is current space. This is cool. Folks, we'll be right back. We're going to set this up because this is awesome.
This is getting physical.
The point,
Yes.
the point is that we could do it from here. It would just be more painful.
I know, when I was out
Yeah,
there, they
just-
only had
it's
one
not-
side.
Okay, then I will get that.
Yeah, because I'm saying I wasn't sure if you were, they were round table individual, this side.
That's fine. Yeah.
Let's not roll our ankles.
You're cleaning the environment, see, making it safe to train. Here we go.
So,
Yeah, let me just. And folks, we decided to stand this up because this is fascinating. If you were listening to what we were just saying just a second ago, I think this is the best place that we're going to be able to demonstrate this because this is awesome. We usually do this at the end of the interview, but dude, I think we're good
So,
here.
for example,
the
so we
least
actually,
conventional guy we've
Yes.
ever met.
I'm going to go ahead and
No,
step
that's
away
right.
and you get to talk
right,
to
so
him.
the 9 things you must consider in their exact order in self-defense and in life. But we use self-defense as a model for our lives.
The vehicle.
Right? Okay? So my attitude, it's just first, is I'm just going to stop my opponent from hurting me. So I can do that in many ways. So I can just shake your hand, and that might stop you from hurting me. Right? I might be able to walk away, but sometimes I just got to punch you in the throat. The point is, we have this larger principle. So we say we learn to operate on large and generalized principles, so I can master every specific situation. That's the key. So I can master every situation if I operate on larger principles. So attitude is how I arrange my body towards it. So in this case, I arrange my body this way a little bit. Now environment. So everything in me, on me, and around me. So I have to look what's around me in my mind. I see all this, right? And the things that are on me is what we're wearing, what you're wearing, and the things that are in me. So I choose, when I'm training, I can only choose one of those things to work on at a time when I'm training. So I get really good. So I would choose perceptual fitness, which is in me. So the 5 things that are in me are spiritual, perceptual, emotional, and mental, and physical fitness. So how old are you?
37.
So he's 37, and he's a lot faster than me, right? Your muscles twitch a lot faster.
I would.
Well, that's what the young guy thinks, and it's true, probably.
I would think so.
But what
yeah.
happens is there's actually 5 types of speed, right?
5 types of speed.
Overall speed is spiritual, perception, emotional, and mental, and physical speed, and they occur in that exact order. So what happens is the way I'm going to beat this younger guy is I'm going to be the master, so to speak, of spiritual, perception, emotional, and mental. And there are 7 types of physical speed, and I'm going to beat him on the first type of physical speed as well. So that's how you can still beat that younger guy. Okay? So spiritual, and everything has master key. So the master key to spiritual fitness is courage. Courage comes from the old French. It means to run to a challenge. So I run to this challenge. Now the challenge is I have to stop him from hurting me. So the first thing I might do, I just did the handshake, and that ended the problem. Maybe it doesn't. I recognize through experience. I realize that's not going to work here. All right. And I'm not fast enough to get away. So now I have to do this on a physical level. Right? Then we go to environment, and I chose in this case my left eye to study the thing in me, right? And so I dominant eye reads this way. So when he reached out with this to grab me with this hand, so the very first thing he did is he stepped with his left foot. So I'm already there because I read this way. So if he punches with the right hand, the first thing he did is move his left hand. You see, so I'll always beat him. I'm always going to beat him, right? Because I read this way. I'm not going to worry about his right punch because I'm at certain now. So the next thing is the stages of action. So that's what I wanted to get across here, that these stages of action are not just distance. So for example, if I'm standing here, I'm out of contact and he can't reach me. When he reaches out to touch me, that's what we call contact stage. When he can penetrate the fist, that's penetration stage. And whenever he can hug me and lock me and choke me, that's manipulation stage. All right? But these are not just distance. Distance is a principle of self-defense, right? But it's the principles of self-defense that make the stages of action. So when he grabs me here and he pushes back, what he's saying to himself is, oh, I can hit you, you can't hit me. In this case, I'm looking at the overall environment. I read this way. So the very first zone I read is over here, and that's his elbow. So now I'm going to lock up his elbow. Now don't move. The point being, what stage of action am I in him? I'm in the manipulation stage, and he's at out of contact. So the principles that I activated change this story. That's what makes it self-defense. When we're at manipulation, the manipulations, we're fighting. If we're at penetration, the penetration, it's a fight. And there's 16 combinations of those stages of action. And my goal in self-defense is to get the situation where ideally I'm either at penetration stage to him or out of contact. So I can make penetration to out of contact real easy. I got the stick. So he backs up over there a little bit again here. So now when he comes to hit at me, I move to out of contact and I just hit him. The point is, I'm at penetration stage to him and he's out of contact. That's so much safer, right? So and that's self-defense. I'm always trying to get that situation. And when you have to go against a knife and you're empty-handed, for example, that is the only combination that works is manipulation to out of contact. I cannot be at penetration with him. He's going to cut me to pieces. So I have to create a situation where he's at out of contact with me when I go against a knife, for example, with it, right? So in this case, you saw that idea. That's what I was talking about. So positions was the fourth thing. Attitude, environment, stages of action, position. So I chose to have my right foot forward. You had your left foot forward. I have my right hand at a point for hammer. And this was, when it started here, this is a point for hammer. So I'm going to hammer his arm, I'm going to hammer here. Maneuver, I'm going to launch back. And when he grabs me, it's going to hyperextend his arm, he's going to go with me. And I'm going to pin his hand so he goes with me. So I'm actually disturbing his balance at the same time. But his target is next, which is the elbow. So I'm going to go 1 inch above his elbow, that spot, well, you guys know all about like the acupuncture point, like where you do acupuncture massage and stuff. And the weapon is my heel ball. And the angle this time turns out to be hooking. So I'm going to go past it and come back.
Oh.
Yeah, because when you go this way, I might hit him this side of the elbow, and I won't dislocate his elbow.
Right.
But if he just pushes just a little bit, he'll feel it when I tap him. Right? Okay? Because he's hyperextending his elbow, and I'm fitting behind him. So that was the angle. And then the next thing is cover out. So I could cover out right there, or I just go back to another point of reference. So I'm at a point of reference for whipping, and this is coming back. So now I whip, and I'm at a point of reference for hammering with this arm. So I always have at least one point of reference that I can choose from. So now this is coming down to hammer his nose, and I'm back over to here. I insert the leg, and then thrust grab the lip.
Jesus Christ.
But every one of those I'm choosing extemporaneously. I'm problem solving at that moment because what's really going on.
Folks, you can't really appreciate it because it's a camera, but good Lord, every one of those points of contact would have dropped me.
That's the idea. So what I really want to do, when we kind of joke about it, is if I'm doing a sequence like that, the reason I'm doing 5 or 6 moves on one guy, because I don't have 5 partners. Yeah. So I joke all the time when I travel around the world. I'm getting older, right? So I said, thank God there's 7 of you, because now I've got 14 eyes, 14 legs, 7 groins. It's a lot easier, right? Because I have a lot more targets to choose from. So that's attitude, right? That's attitude, right? So that's that cycle that I have to choose from every single time. I just train that. And if you're driving down the road and you're right eye dominant and you're right on the freeway, you'll get to do it. You'll say, oh, you'll see all these signs over here, and you don't see those. The left eye guy reads these signs because he reads this way, and the right eye is reading that way. So you get to put it into practice all the time. So the cycle,
I'm definitely going to start using figure out which eye I'm dominant in. What about hearing? How do you determine what hearing?
So we can go over that real quick. So the hearing part, you got the cell phone? Yeah, just pick it up.
Folks, this guy is really fascinated. He's taking the martial arts into a different.
Oh.
So you're right or not.
Right.
It doesn't matter what hand you are. You're going to listen to that ear.
Yeah, because even I do this.
So
Yes.
Mr. Parker was really good at saying, so I learned a lot. I made a lot of sayings.
Right.
So the dominant ear listens, and the other ear just hears.
Huh.
Okay, it hears sounds, but the dominant ear is going to make the distinction. So the dominant eye is, we always say the dominant eye leads and the rest will follow. The difference between a dominant eye and the non-dominant, I'm left eye dominant. I'm driving down, this happened with my students because we're doing this all the time. I have a bicycle camp, and we're riding one day 20 miles on this trail, and I have 3 students, they're all right eye dominant, and I'm riding this way.
Right.
And because you guys don't see the mama moves, the baby moves? That mama moves and baby moves were about 75 yards under a tree in the water. And I'm looking at they go, what are you talking about? We're coming, an hour later or so, we're coming back, right?
Oh.
And we're going back this way, and they skip. don't you want to stop and see the moose? What moose? It's right there. Right? When I'm left eye dominant, I'm reading this way. In fact, I just had it happen. This is the way I made put it into practice.
Right.
On the way here, I left my
That's
house in
awesome.
Montana. It was dark. I took one step out, and there was a skunk right there. And I just stepped right back and closed the door. Because I saw him with my dominant eye.
Right.
Right?
That's great.
That's how you put it into practice. We're talking about that sign. The students have the sign 1,177 times that have escaped death. So it's just like during the summer, I was hiking up a trail, and I was going up, it's all vertical there, and I just turned around to look down and see where I was. And just as I did, I heard this crunch in the bush. That means big game.
Right.
And it was a mama moose with two other young moose, and they were like the width of a train.
Jeebus.
And I was right here, and they just came charging together right at me like this. And it went like this. And they went right by. The lesson to that, first time with Mr. Parker.
That's what you said.
If I had been going this way,
Right.
they would have run
You-
right over
yeah,
top of me.
because you would have never even-
I wouldn't have heard it, I wouldn't have interpreted it, and I wouldn't have seen it, right, the way I
Okay.
should see it. So the difference is like, one day we were driving down the road, and I go, one time I'm going, oh, is that a bird down there? And the next time, oh, that's an eagle, it's got a fish, da, da, da. So the dominant eye gives you all the details. 98% of the information goes to your dominant eye.
Okay, I'm gonna remember that.
So to get that, all you have to do is pick something
Uh-huh.
on the wall.
Yeah.
For example, see his sunglasses on his head?
Yes.
Make a telescope and bring it back to your eye. That's your right eye dominant. That's what you'll do.
Oh, there's a chicken. Oh, you're giving us money.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love this guy.
So now you know that your right eye and right ear. Start with that.
Wow, dude, sir, this has been so fascinating. Thank you so much for your
We'll
time.
stop. We'll
Because
stop. I don't.
yeah, well,
No, it's lunchtime.
yes.
We need to get you fed.
I don't ever eat. I don't eat when I'm teaching.
We got to eat.
Oh, really?
Anyways, folks, this is Call It Conversation with me, Rick,
And me, Naeem.
and
Skip.
Skip.
Skip. That's
Grandmaster.
it. No, just skip.
Just
No,
skip.
Yeah, just skip.
Just Skip.
The guy from
Thank
the
you
farm.
so much. Is anybody you want to shout out to?
Yeah.
Promote anything?
I have so many wonderful students all around the world. I'm so blessed, you know what I mean?
Oh, let them know you're here.
They wanted me to write my autobiography. It's called Spoiled. No, actually, if I was the real autobiography that I've been writing is this called Skip, the autobiography of the teacher. So I hope everybody finds it unique. What it is 40 stories
Right.
about my students.
Yeah, and what was the other book? What was the other
I
book
like
that
that.
you wrote?
One of the books is
Awareness.
called Aware.
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 Folks, look for that book. Is it out on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. They're on Kindle. Master Kindle, The Path to Excellence.
Oh, great! We're gonna have to buy one and have
And
you
you sign it, yeah. Just go find a Barnes and
There's a
Noble right
bunch of
now.
that stuff out there. We have about 2,000 videos.
Wow.
Folks, look for him.
Skip.
Find him on
That guy.
Wikipedia. His name.
Skip.
You'll get to touch
That's
with
it.
a great guy.
Thanks, guys. That was fun.
Thank you so much. And in 3, 2,
Oh, right.
1, cut.